Hi, welcome to LearnLogicPro.com. Today we're going to look at the main file option of Logic, the application. So if you're looking at the application outside the Arrange window, in the upper left corner, let's click on File. Here you've got a number of options that are very typical to any program, and we're just going to review through these. So with Logic Pro, you essentially have File and New. Creating a new project, you can do Command N to basically prompt the new template window. Command O is to open something, and at that point it asks you to close the project you're in, and it begins to allow you to open something up from your Finder out of the directory. Open Recent is essentially all of the tracks that you may have been working on recently. You can also clear that menu. If it gets a bit cluttered, you can clear it and start over. Close is essentially closing the specific project you're working on now in this window. Close project closes again the specific project you're working on. Save saves this file to disk. If you've saved it already and you've created a project, you just continually hit Command S over and over to continually save it. Save As allows you to save this as something else. If you're going to do a mix or something, and so does Save a Copy As. That essentially duplicates the entire project as a copy and saves it as something else. If you were to use that for a template, say, or if you were to use that for another project, something like that. You can save as a template. This brings up the basic save window, and you save this as a template you can refer to over and over again. I suggest most people save as a template, creating specific genre-based or specific production templates that work best to help them speed up their production. Project, you've got cleanup, consolidate, and rename. A project essentially in Logic is not only the logic file, but it is the audio and the samples or loops or files that are part of that project. And when you clean up or consolidate, you're essentially telling Logic to go and find all the audio files that are associated to this and to consolidate or clean them up into the directory. To consolidate pulls them from multiple directories into the project folder, and clean up just cleans up the folder itself, putting them where they need to be. Renaming obviously is just renaming the project. Project settings, this is kind of like hitting the settings here. It's kind of the same thing. A project itself has specific settings. You have synchronization settings, metronome settings. These are specific settings that are not preferences to the entire Logic application, but are specific to only the project. If you're going to tune this project to a specific tuning, or you're going to synchronize it to a movie at a frame rate, or change the metronome in some sort, this is where you're going to change the project settings. You have an option to import files from other sources, other file types, other applications, be it an OMF or a MIDI file or something else. Here you have an option to import an audio file. I tend to just drag audio files directly into the Arrange window. Some people don't do it like that. Some people import audio files to the Arrange window. Other people go here to the browser and browse into the hard drive for audio files now. Many different ways to do that. Exporting allows you to take your projects and send them out into formats for other uses. In this case, you can export as a MIDI file. This basically is a standard MIDI file, just standard MIDI, old school MIDI. If you export a sequence as standard MIDI, it will play in most general MIDI devices. You may want to send it down through USB, or if you have, quite frankly, a floppy drive, you can put it on a floppy drive and send it down to that MIDI playback device through even a floppy drive. You can export a track as an audio file, selecting a specific track and exporting it out as an audio file. Just that one file you're able to export out. Export all tracks as audio files, or all tracks as audio files. Essentially what we're dealing with here is a means of which to take all the audio files and save them out as separate stems, depending on how long the audio files are. This is extremely useful if you're going to save these audio files to have another mix somewhere else, or in another application, or in Logic in a 24-bit, say, template, mixing template that's provided for us. You can also export out as an OMF. This is an open music format file. This is essentially something that you would save out that Pro Tools could import. Other applications can basically import that file type. And that's the same with OpenTL, AAF. These are file types that you can open in Digital Performer, Cubase, Pro Tools, possibly Fruity Loops, and so on. You also have an option for saving this, exporting this as a Final Cut XML. Now, using this application in the suite of Final Cut Studio and using this as your compositional tool is something that obviously is relevant. And being able to export this out and send it straight on through to Final Cut to lock to the picture directly in Final Cut for final rendering is exactly what you want to do, and the option is there for you. Finally, you have Bounce. Bounce is the same window. There is a Bounce movie that specifically talks about that, but if you click Bounce, this is the Bounce window, and it allows you to render the song as a final mix. And that's the essential walkthrough of the file directory options in Logic Pro 8.